It was one of those Saturdays where everything was perfect. Sunlight bouncing off the water like diamonds, birds chirping in sync with my old jazz playlist, and not a soul in sight. My lakefront cabin was my paradise, tucked just far enough from the HOA's prying eyes. But just as I took a sip of chilled lemonade and leaned back into my Adirondack chair, I heard the sharp tap tap of wedges on gravel. I already knew who it was. Karen. Blonde bob, oversized sunglasses, clipboard clutched like a weapon of control, classic HOA menace mode. Welcome to Prodigy Tales. Make sure you like and subscribe for your top-notch HOA drama. She walked up with that tight-lipped smile she uses before throwing a passive-aggressive grenade. Hey there, neighbor. So I was thinking, my family is flying in from all over for a reunion, and your lake would be just perfect for our picnic. I mean, who wouldn't want to enjoy this lovely space? She said it like she was complimenting me, but her tone, full on entitled. I kept a neutral smile, told her I'd think about it. She nodded like she had already won and waltzed back toward the road, her perfume cloud trailing behind like a chemical threat. That night, I sat by the lake and really thought it over. Granting her access wasn't just about one picnic. If Karen got a green light, she'd talk. And once the neighborhood buzz started, I'd be stuck with HOA aunties, toddlers and floaties, and someone's cousin blasting country music by July 4th. Nope, not happening. So I texted her, "Hey Karen, I gave it some thought, and I'm really sorry, but I'm going to have to pass on letting you use the lake. Hope you find another nice venue for your reunion." Simple, polite, firm. To my surprise, she responded with, "Okay, no worries, thanks anyway." I stared at my phone for a good minute. That was it? No guilt tripping, no follow-up HOA letter taped to my door. It felt off. The Karen I knew once threw a tantrum because someone parked half an inch on her lawn. Her accepting rejection peacefully? Suspicious. Something about the way she gave up so easily gnawed at me. I had no idea then that this was just the calm before the storm. A part of me wanted to believe that maybe, just maybe, Karen had grown as a person. Maybe she was trying therapy or started microdosing mushrooms. Who knows? But the other part of me, the one that's lived next to her HOA tyranny for 3 years, stayed on high alert. So I kept my eyes open. Days passed, weeks. No peep from Karen, no HOA letters, no sudden lake usage referendums showing up in our community meetings. I started to relax a bit. That was a mistake. It started with a smell. I woke up one morning to this thick, sour odor rolling in through my screen windows. I figured it was just swamp gas or maybe a dead animal nearby. But as I walked down to the dock, the water looked weird. Normally, my lake is crystal clear, clean enough to see the fish swimming along the bottom. But that morning, it had this unnatural greenish sheen floating across the surface, like oil mixed with algae. And sure enough, I spotted 3 dead fish washed up along the edge. I immediately went into panic mode. I thought maybe it was some kind of chemical runoff. Or worse, someone dumping waste. I grabbed gloves, samples, and ran some basic water tests I had from my fishing kit. The pH levels were off, and the nitrate readings were sky high. This wasn't nature doing her thing. This was sabotage. I contacted the HOA board, but surprise, surprise, they hadn't heard of any complaints and suggested I call a private environmental testing lab. That's when I knew this wasn't going to be handled politely. Karen's fake innocence flashed back into my mind, and suddenly her eerie acceptance made perfect sense. She wasn't stepping back, she was stepping around. Whatever she was doing, she wanted me to think she'd let it go. She wanted me distracted. So I got to work. First, I bought 4 outdoor motion-triggered cameras, waterproof, high-res, and equipped with night vision. I installed 2 in the trees near the shoreline, one facing the back trail from the HOA path and the last directly on the dock. Hidden, secure, and connected to my phone. It became my new nightly ritual. Check the footage, monitor the lake, keep my cool. Days went by and I didn't catch anything, until one night I saw a shadowy figure lurking near the north bank. It wasn't a raccoon. It was about to get real ugly. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. My camera feed, pixelated but clear enough, showed a woman in a hoodie creeping along the lake's edge with a jug in her hand. She paused near the north dock, twisted the cap, and tilted the container over the water. The liquid poured out slowly, and even in the moonlight, you could see the murky stream snake into the lake. My stomach turned. I zoomed in. It was Karen, the bob haircut poking from her hoodie, The way she kept glancing around like a toddler stealing cookies. There was no doubt. I hit pause, screen captured the frame, and cursed under my breath. This woman was actually poisoning my lake. No more guessing. No more maybe. This was war. That night, I couldn't sleep. I paced the floor like a madman, watching the video on loop, heart pounding like a war drum. At 5:47 a.m., I made a fresh pot of coffee and wrote a full report. Every detail. Dates, timestamps, water test results, pictures of the fish, still shots from the footage. I even mapped out the direction she came from and went to. My plan was to walk into the police station first thing and report it. I printed everything, labeled the files, charged my phone so I could show the footage in real time. I wasn't leaving any room for misunderstanding. Just before leaving, I stepped out to check the lake again. The air still stank like rotting swamp, but now the water was bubbling in weird spots. I snapped more photos and rushed to my car. But right as I pulled out of the driveway, a convoy of city trucks and SUVs rolled in. Environmental officers, hazard crew, and yes, 2 cruisers, lights on. Sirens low but ominous. A man in a yellow vest approached me with a clipboard. "Are you the property owner?" "Yes, I was just about to report." "You'll need to stay put. We received an anonymous tip about environmental contamination. This lake has been reported as a potential public hazard." I blinked. Anonymous tip? Wait, I know who. "Sir, we'll ask you questions shortly. Please remain available." Everything clicked instantly. Karen had tried to beat me to the punch. Not only did she poison the lake, she called in the cavalry like I was the villain in her story. But what she didn't know was I had the receipts. The scene looked like something out of a disaster movie. Hazmat suits, containment tape, and boots trampling all over my quiet lakeside haven. I stood there fuming, trying not to lose it while they poked, prodded, and took samples like I was some illegal chemical manufacturer. The man in charge, Officer Delgado, finally approached me with a firm look. "Sir, we have reason to believe this lake poses an environmental threat. An anonymous report flagged potential contamination that may endanger the neighborhood's water table and wildlife." "I know who sent the tip," I said, already pulling out my phone. "And I have video proof that the person responsible is not only the same one who reported it, but also the one who poisoned it in the first place." Delgado raised a skeptical eyebrow until I showed him the footage. The look on his face changed quickly. He watched Karen sneak through the bushes, dump the jug, and scurry off like a cartoon villain. "You're telling me she's part of the HOA?" "Board member," I said. "She asked to use the lake for her family picnic. I said no, and this is how she reacted." His jaw tightened. "You mind if we keep this footage?" "Take the whole damn phone if you want. I've got backups." The crew's tone shifted immediately. No longer under suspicion, I watched as they redirected their focus, and within 20 minutes they were knocking on Karen's door. I stood at the edge of my property, arms crossed, watching from a distance as she came out in a floral robe and slippers, acting confused. That lasted all of 10 seconds. Delgado showed her the video. She went pale, then red, then loud. "You're going to arrest me? For what? That lake is basically public. It's on HOA land," she shrieked. "No, ma'am, it's private land, and you trespassed, tampered with protected wildlife, and made a false environmental report. You're under arrest." Neighbors started gathering. Cameras were out. Her precious image, ruined. As they handcuffed her, she kicked and screamed like a toddler on Red Bull, yelling about lawyers, conspiracies, and HOA retaliation. The police didn't flinch. Karen was fined $50,000 for environmental damage and HOA violations, and yes, she paid it. Every cent. I got my lake professionally cleaned and restored, and trust me, the HOA hasn't even breathed in my direction since. The end. Please like and subscribe for more HOA showdowns like this. Do you think Karen got what she deserved? Comment below.